I mean, that's one of my real sort of passions to understand. And again, as a father of a young 25-year-old, it's interesting because she's almost qualified as a chartered accountant. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, Anton, you're a futurist and a business strategist, and you've just invested a huge amount of money in your daughter's career, which is probably going to be irrelevant. And I'm saying, well, why did I let that happen? And how do I equip my daughter to stay relevant? Although she has an incredible qualification, that qualification is not going to give her any guaranteed relevance in the future. So what does that mean for her? And I think we have to be really honest with ourselves and say, most of us will probably be doing something that could be rendered irrelevant by automation, robotization, artificial intelligence, etc., etc. That's the reality. So whether you're a medical doctor, a radiologist, a quantity surveyor, an architect, a chartered accountant, and in fact a lawyer, or many other professions or businesses, they will all potentially be rendered less relevant, if not totally irrelevant, by the changing world. So for me, the real holy grail, if you like, of personal relevance for our children is, what are the skills we need to equip them with to evolve their careers and their journeys multiple times throughout their lifetime? Firstly, they're going to live a lot longer than we would live. I mean, I plan to live to 120, my daughter will probably live to 140, right? So she has to work until she's 120. And it's highly unlikely she'll do one thing for 120 years. I certainly hope she doesn't do one thing for that long. The truth is, she will have 4, 5, 6, or 7 careers. Now, she can't study for all of those up front. So what are the skills, personal attributes, and ways of thinking that parents need to develop to equip their children to stay ahead of the change curve? And that talks to things like curiosity, ability to ask questions, not answer them, because the machines will answer them. But we have to ask them, and always the trick is in asking the right question. How do you stay curious? How do you be contextually aware? How do you develop empathy, insight? And all of these, again, I come back to this notion of human attributes. Flexibility, agility, if you like, willingness to change, preparedness to accept a degree of risk, ability to work in a chaotic environment. And these are not things that our schools teach. In fact, if you look at the entire education system in almost every country in the world, it's almost designed to drum those attributes out of us. So it's a box system, it's routine, it's linear, it's functional, it is siloed in different subjects, and we have to change the way we think. We have to inculcate in our children an ability to think like a systems analyst would do. How do you think about nature as an entire ecosystem? So in Finland, for example, they have children in a class. They've abolished science, maths, English, geography, etc. They take them into a forest, they let them free for an hour. Then the teachers join the children and observe what they're doing and talking about. And that prompts the teacher to ask questions like, this is a beetle, that's really interesting. How many legs does it have? 6 legs. Wow, that's interesting. How many legs do you have if you have 10 beetles? Suddenly it's morphed from a beetle conversation into a maths conversation. But it's kind of systems thinking skills which are developed from a very young age across all silos. So I think that's how we need to ensure that our kids develop, if you like, and how they think and think about their long-term journey. I think for family businesses, there's another set of dynamics at play. And it's almost an insight equally important for the moms and dads that own and run the companies as it is for the incoming young children. I think from a moms and dads as owners, CEOs and managing directors of these companies, they have to develop an ability to hand over. And this is absolutely not easy. And I do extensive work in India where we have exactly the same problem. The big dynasties are all family-owned businesses, and the difficulty in parents handing over, holding children accountable, and most importantly, empowering them is really, really difficult. On the one hand, you have to ensure that your child coming up into the business is skilled, experienced, and capable of being given the accountability. So that's a learning and development obligation that you have, so that they understand not only that business, but the context, the world, the broader ecosystem of life and business. They need to understand, and you need to expose them to that. So you need to broaden their horizons. But then you also need to reach a moment where you make them accountable, but free them to do what they've got to do. It's terrible to be given a task and have someone looking over your shoulder all the time and criticizing from the, it just doesn't work. So we have to have these two sets, the The elders, if I can call them that, have to be ready to change and accept the change, and the children need to be empowered to step into that role. And it's very seldom that these two can peacefully and happily coexist. So from a parent point of view, it's difficult. All of their success, perhaps all of their wealth, is trapped in this organization. So how does the parent de-risk their own personal financial futures from this transition period? So it's a financial consideration, it's a strategic planning consideration, it's a competence and evolution consideration. It's a complex business. But it's vital that we enable our children to take responsibility, but prepare them for the shifting context of business. And how the fact that we've been successful doing things this way for 30, 40, 50 or 100 years will not be the reason that this company or business is successful in the next 5, 10, 20 and 30 years. And are both sets of leaders, both current and future, equipped to handle that transition?